Welcome to this edition of Behind the Badge. I'm Christy Hopkins, Director of Media and Public Relations for the Harford County Sheriff's Office. On today's show, we'll take a look at some of the inner workings of the Sheriff's Office and discover how crimes are investigated, criminals are thwarted, officers are assisted, and inmates are treated. We'll find out the latest scientific techniques are employed in efforts to catch criminals by lifting and tracking their fingerprints. We'll get a tour of the 911 call center and discover the critical behind-the-scenes coordination that happens when you make that emergency call. We'll talk to the chaplain of the Harford County Sheriff's Office about giving spiritual guidance to inmates, deputies, and staff when they need it most. We'll get a first-hand introduction to the newest members of our K-9 unit, and we'll get a demonstration of the VirTra system, one of the most advanced training platforms that's helping deputies improve their skills and response times in critical situations. But first, Sheriff Jeffrey Gaylor was recently elected for a second term as Harford County Sheriff, and he's here with a message of thanks and a look to the future.
Hi, I'm Harford County Sheriff Jeff Gaylor, and thanks to you, I was recently elected to a second term as the Sheriff of our wonderful county. Over my first term, we focused on many issues internally and externally here at the Sheriff's Office. Externally, the opioid epidemic led our attention over the last 4 years. School safety, the threat posed by active assailants. Internally, we looked at the command structure and ways to put more deputies back on patrol. We also looked at the salary structure of the Sheriff's Office and were able to address a compression issue within our salary structure that had gone on for more than 10 years without being addressed. Looking at the term ahead, I plan the focus of the office to be on the external issues, of course, the continuing battle with the opioid epidemic and the threat posed by active shooter, and school safety. I'm very pleased that we recently expanded the school resource officer program, putting deputies in every public high school and middle school in the county. Internally, we are looking at a staffing study to ensure that our deputies are deployed in the most effective and efficient manner to ensure that we get a police officer on the scene when you need them most. We will also be focusing on our recruiting efforts here at the Harford County Sheriff's Office, looking for qualified men and women of a diverse background to become part of our Harford County Sheriff's Office for a future career in law enforcement or in corrections. Again, as your sheriff, thank you for your trust and support in me, and please know that I and the wonderful men and women of your Sheriff's Office will always put the interests of our community first.
The Harford County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit is a critical component of crime fighting, assisting our deputies in investigations and apprehensions. Let's meet some of our new members of our K-9 team and get some insight into their training and their personalities.
Corporal John Seelbach with the Harford County Sheriff's Office K-9 unit. This guy over here is K-9 Diogi, and he is my fourth partner since I've been in the K-9 unit. I've been in K-9 for 18 years now. I've been with the agency for just over 20, and in the unit I am the unit supervisor, and I'm also one of the unit's K-9 trainers. K-9 Diogi here is a dog that is imported from the Czech Republic. I got him in the fall of 2016, and he was brought in from the Czech Republic because the Europeans still breed the dogs to be working dogs, and that's why we try to get dogs that really want to do the work. As you can see right now, he is looking around all the time. He is always a busybody, always trying to figure out something to do, even in his time off. He's always full of mischief, if you will. I named him Diogi in honor of a K-9 team that was killed together in Florida in the fall of 2006. It was Deputy Matt Williams and K-9 Diogi. They worked for the Polk County Sheriff's Department in Florida, and they were killed together by an armed suspect in the fall of 2006. And their death had a great impact upon the K-9 community at large. And so, since I got Diogi on approximately the 10-year anniversary of that incident, I wanted to keep that name alive, and that's how he ended up with his name. He is what we call a cross-trained patrol dog, where he is trained to do both narcotics work and patrol work, which is involved in tracking people, doing building searches, bite work, stuff like that. He is a fun dog at home. He likes to play, and as you can see, like I said, he's got bottomless pit of energy, so at home, we have to play really hard a lot on our days off, and when we come to work, we gotta get a lot of exercise and do odds and ends if we're not busy doing actual patrol work. The reason we use police dogs is because of their nose. The nose of the dog is incredibly sensitive. Scientists are still discovering how sensitive a dog's nose is. There are many thousands of times more sensitive than a human nose. And so what we do is we train dogs to use their nose for whatever we're trying to get them to do, whether it be to locate the odor of drugs, locate the odor of bombs, explosives, odor of a gun, or the odor of people. So the primary reason we use is their nose. The police dog is what we call a force multiplier. The dog can take the job that might take multiple deputies to do, and the canine team can accomplish what multiple deputies would do in a much shorter period of time. For instance, if there was a burglary at a really large store or a large building of some kind, it might take a team of deputies a really long time to actually clear that building. But with a police canine, we can have the building cleared in a very short order.
I'm Deputy Charles Holthouse, Harford County Sheriff's Office Canine Unit, and this is my partner, Jay Lee. We just completed our training October 2nd, so she is new to the unit. We went through a 6-week training course here at Broad Creek Range under the direction of our Corporal John Seelbeck. And Jay Lee has been trained as a narcotic detection dog as well as an article dog. So she's trained on a multitude of different narcotic scents, as well as trained in the ability to locate articles that have been discarded or lost. Jay Lee is approximately 2 years old. She is a product of Georgia. She was shipped up here through a breeder, and we purchased her through him. She got her name from our niece who had died of cancer a couple years ago, and our niece had nicknamed her name was Jennifer Lee, and she had nicknamed herself Jay Lee early on, and as a tribute to her, I decided to name her Jay Lee. In the 10 years that I've been in the canine unit, I've had 4 dogs. Jay Lee is my second narcotics detection dog. Her predecessor is now retired and having a miserable time at home because she is retired. She hates being at home. She very much enjoyed her work as well. Got Jay Lee May 22nd of this year, and we have obviously formed a very strong bond up to this point. I'm hoping that will continue to grow. That, again, as well, makes it a lot easier to do the training and do the work when you have that strong bond with your partner. I am currently the agency's only dual handler, which means that I actually handle 2 dogs at the same time. In addition to Jay Lee, I have a bloodhound that is a certified tracking dog. Having the 2 dogs at home is a challenge in itself. It's twice the work, twice the time spent with each of the dogs during the course of the day, both grooming, maintaining them, maintaining their living facilities, feeding, exercising. Jay Lee is a lab mix. She is very high-strung, full of energy. She loves to play, which made her training very easy. The bulk of the training is based on their play drive, and she definitely has a lot of play drive. She doesn't have any downtime whatsoever.
This is Canine Chance. With me today, I am Senior Deputy Jeremy Mothershed, the Harford County Sheriff's Office Canine Unit. He and I are currently assigned to our day shift operation for canine, and our Chance is cross-trained in patrol as well as narcotics detection. And he recently graduated in December of 2016, and we have been working on the road since then. He is my 3rd working dog that I've had since I've been in the unit, and I've been in the unit for a little over 15 years now. He is imported from the Czech Republic, and he will be 3 in December of 2018. He's actually a New Year or a Christmas Eve baby. And he has been very successful so far in his short career that we've had, as far as fines as well as recovery and money and drugs as well. Chance is dual purpose, patrol and narcotics. He has a significant amount of drive. He is the most challenging dog that I've had thus far, being my third one that I've actually worked. He tries to be very independent. He tries to do a lot of his own little things. As you can see, Sydney. Boston, good boy. As I said, he's very challenging, but it is a very challenging relationship for both of us, but I think it makes us stronger in what we do. It is very important that he and I work very well together, and it has proven so far to be a great relationship. His role as any canine unit or team that we have in the Sheriff's Office is critical to our operation. Daily operation, not only from crime prevention and the drug detection piece of that, but also just the factor of canines being a force multiplier for crime prevention. So just their presence alone does prevent people to make bad decisions sometimes. So we utilize that, just their presence alone, to help us really kind of get an incident down and allow it to de-escalate pretty quickly just by having their presence here.
From our dining and shopping, to our rich history, to everything water, to the decoy capital of the world,
Come have a ball and have it a great.
A great place to live, work, and play. Come discover and explore havredegrace.com.
Welcome back to Behind the Badge. In an effort to keep the citizens of our county safe and protected, law enforcement employs the latest scientific and technological advances. Let's visit one of our fingerprinting labs and take a look at how science and law enforcement are working together for the betterment of Harford County.
Hello, Corporal Brad Gaynor with the Harford County Sheriff's Office Forensic Services Unit. Today we're going to take you through a couple processes back at our shop. Everyone's used to seeing fingerprints being developed in the field using a typical powder and brush. Today we're going to see a couple advanced processes that we use to better process evidence back in the lab. Alright, fingerprints are left behind on evidence from oil and water left behind by your skin. Powder is usually used to highlight that, but today we're going to use magnetic powder. Magnetic powder sticks to the same oil and water left behind by your skin, but does so with ground up metal filings, which are held by the tip of this magnetic pen, and when brushed across the evidence, stick to that oil and water and highlight the fingerprint for us. The next process we're going to look at is using anhydrous. One of the other things that your fingerprints leave behind is chemicals. Those chemicals react with an anhydrous in this spray, and we can then develop it using an additional process. It takes a few minutes to dry, but once it's done, we're ready to move on. Once the anhydrous is dry, we remove it from the chamber and proceed to the next step. The anhydrous is developed using heat and steam, which we're going to use with this iron. The chemical reacts with those amino acids to develop a pinkish, purplish fingerprint. Normally this process takes 24 to 48 hours to develop on its own, but we're speeding up the process for you at home using an iron using heat and steam. The next step in our process is going to be using cyanoacrylate, which is actually vaporized superglue that sticks to the oil and water, again left behind by your fingerprints, inside this chamber. Here we have a dark glass bottle that's just finished, and as you can see, the fingerprints have developed, and we can now further examine them. Taking this same glass bottle, the next step in our process is using a dye stain to enhance this white fingerprint, and I'm simply going to spray it on, let it soak and dry, and then we'll be able to look at it with a special filter and a special light. After we've finished applying the stain to the cyanoacrylate, we've let it dry, and now we're going to dim the lights, apply a special filter to the lens and a blue light, which will enhance the fingerprint and allow you to see what we see here in the lab. Now that we've taken you through all the steps of how to examine a print, our next step is to put it into our State AFIS system, which is an automated fingerprint identification system. We can scan it in, mark different points of identification, and within about 2 minutes get a result list of candidates, searching all state records, and if we need to, we can reach out to the FBI for nationwide records. Here at the Forensic Services Unit, we use science to help solve all types of crimes in Harford County. And we've taken you through some of the steps on how we do that to keep Harford County safe.
Advances in technology are also being employed to help our deputies improve their observation skills, response time, and accuracy when confronted with a potentially dangerous situation. Let's get a tour of the new VirTra system, one of the most advanced crime-fighting tools at our disposal.
In today's society, deputies with the Harford County Sheriff's Office are faced with many difficulties in the scenarios they encounter on the street. I'm Corporal Gregory Young, assigned to the Harford County Sheriff's Office Training Academy, and I'm standing here in front of our VirTra Reality Use of Force Simulator system. The VirTra 300 system that we have here at the Sheriff's Office is designed to put our deputies through many scenarios that they may face on the street. Those scenarios may cause them to use verbal commands all the way up to deadly force with the use of their issued handgun. While the deputies are participating in this system, they are allowed to use voice commands, OC pepper spray, their issued taser, their issued patrol rifle, their issued shotguns, and their issued handguns. During the scenario, they may face any situation that may cause them to use verbal commands all the way up and back down again. When we bring a deputy into the VirTra system for training, we check them for safety before they enter the room. Prior to coming into the room, the deputy will secure all weapons that they have on their body, to include any and all knives, in a safety locker. Once they come into the room, they're then checked by an instructor before entering any training scenarios. Once they're in the room, we issue them training weapons, training Glock, training, which is our handgun, our training taser, training OC pepper spray. We put them in a scenario. When the scenario starts to run, the scenario may begin with fully dark screens, and it describes an incident or scenario that a deputy may encounter, or it may start out just immediately. When the deputy is on the platform in the training scenario, we have an instructor that operates the system off of a computer. That instructor, depending on how the deputy reacts to the scenario that is provided to them, can change the outcome of the scenario. If a deputy is not acting correctly or handling the situation correctly, the instructor can escalate the scenario or de-escalate the scenario. We can take a deadly force situation that was originally encountered by a deputy and take it all the way down to a compliant situation. We can also take a compliant situation all the way to a deadly force situation and make the deputy react to any situation in between those two. VirTra is important to our deputies here at the Sheriff's Office because it allows us to bring our deputies in here that may be struggling on the range with their firearm, and we can practice with them just in range type scenarios to work on their shooting skills. We can also put them into different scenarios. During those scenarios, we can show deputies where they should have reacted when they didn't, or when they reacted and they shouldn't have. It is also important because we were able to bring in civilians, judges, attorneys, to allow them to see the different scenarios that deputies are placed into on the street. And this allows for us to show action versus reaction to both the public and our deputies. It allows us to show the split-second decisions that we have to make as deputies on the street so that our citizens in their community better understand what we are faced with on a daily basis. The Virtra system was acquired by the Harford County Sheriff's Office through drug asset forfeitures here in Harford County. By seizing those assets, we have been able to purchase this system, better train our deputies that ultimately provide for a safer community for the citizens of Harford County.
One of the most direct ways that Harford County citizens interact with emergency services is when they call the 911 Emergency Call Center. It's your direct link to the emergency services that can protect you and save lives. Let's find out what happens behind the scenes when you make that emergency 911 call.
Hi, my name is Ross Coates, and I'm the Public Safety Manager for the Harford County Department of Emergency Services. I'd like to welcome you to our 911 Center. The 911 Center is the hub of public safety communications in Harford County. Here, we process 911 calls, but not only do we do that, we also provide dispatch services for the fire and EMS entities within Harford County, as well as the Harford County Sheriff's Office. Behind me, we have the 911 call takers. These public safety specialists are responsible for taking your call when you call 911. They collect the information, and if it's a police emergency, they route it to the police dispatch area over to my right. Those dispatchers are responsible for providing that information to the responding officer that's coming to assist you. If the event is a fire or medical event, our fire and EMS dispatchers over here to my left are responsible for dispatching fire and EMS assistance to your emergency. Now let's take a look under the headset to see what happens when you make a 911 call.
Okay, yes ma'am. What's an approximate address there?
It was in the 2200 block. I think it was around 2218.
Okay. In Forestville?
Yes.
And what's a good callback number for you, ma'am?
443-555-1212.
For policy, I just need you to repeat that for verification.
443-555-1212.
Okay, tell me exactly what happened.
Same 320. It's going to be a suspicious person in the 2200 block of 80 Road, cross streets of Slade Lane and Conowingo Road. Callers advising there's a individual trying to access vehicles in front of residences.
So there's a couple important things that you need to know when calling 911. The first is location. Location is the most important component for our 911 call takers to get you assistance. The next is that while our call takers are still collecting information from you, during your 911 call, our dispatchers are sending help. It's not delaying the response of getting you the assistance that you needed. And then lastly, is that while we understand you may not know all the answers to the questions we ask them so that we ensure that you are safe and that our responders are safe when they get there, and that we have the most up-to-date and accurate information for them. On behalf of all the public safety specialists that work here in the 911 Center, I'd like to thank you for joining us today. And remember, if you happen to accidentally dial 911, just remain on the line and let us know it was an accident. Thank you and be safe.
Oftentimes, those in crisis need more than mental health assistance. They also need spiritual guidance. To address this issue, the Harford County Sheriff's Office has a chaplain on staff to work directly with the staff and inmates at the Harford County Detention Center to help those most in need.
When people are in crisis, they often look towards spiritual guidance and spiritual care. Hello, I'm Chaplain Paul Cole. I'm the administrative chaplain for the Harford County Sheriff's Office. What is a chaplain? A chaplain is somebody that's certified by their church or their denomination, and they're also certified by the institution they work for. Basically, a chaplain is a minister in the workplace who works outside the walls of the church building. As administrative chaplain with the Sheriff's Office, I work with law enforcement and corrections, and I'm also the facility chaplain for the Harford County Detention Center. So I end up spending most of my time here at the detention center, and I spend most of it working with the inmates one-on-one. I do counseling and spiritual care. I'm also in charge of the religious programs here, and we minister to people of various religions and beliefs, and we also minister to those who have no religious beliefs or backgrounds. We're really here for all people. The reason that the chaplain is important is not only do we deal with corrections, but we also work with law enforcement, and they have a very stressful job. And not only with police departments, but they've found even in secular businesses that organizations that have chaplains, they've seen an increased resiliency, and also it also lessens sick leave, just to have that spiritual support. And it's not also spiritual support and care, but also a chaplain's job is to develop resources, outside resources that people can go to get help. And recently, in the last couple of years, we've also had some mass incidents where chaplains were called out with other people in the agency, other groups, and we have ministered to the community who were going through crisis. Not only am I a chaplain, I'm also a Baptist pastor at Prince of Peace Baptist Church in Fallston. I've been there 14 years, and along with that, I'm also retired from the Harford County Sheriff's Office with law enforcement. I had a few months shy of 38 years there, and I have found out that my best training to be a chaplain has been with the law enforcement. And I spent about 17 years in CID in major cases, and most of the times we found that the people were in crisis, and oftentimes we'd have to make death notifications and be with the family through the whole process. And I've also learned a lot about human nature, and that and my theological training has really prepared me to be chaplain, that and being a Baptist pastor. I would like to say I feel very blessed that I've had my career in law enforcement and also being a chaplain and a Baptist pastor. It's been a wonderful experience to minister to people as individuals in crisis and also to serve the community of Harford County.
Harford County Sheriff's deputies go beyond their job descriptions every day, proving that good law enforcement and good citizenship go hand in hand. Let's take a look at one more example of our deputies going beyond the badge. Colonel Stephen Bodway has dedicated his life to the citizens of Harford County through his service to the Sheriff's Office. He joined the agency in 1980 and retired in 2008 after 28 years of service, and was among the first deputies in our traffic unit. But even retirement couldn't keep him away. He returned as Chief Deputy in 2014 and is now celebrating his second retirement from the Harford County Sheriff's Office. We thank him for his dedication, service, and commitment to the citizens of Harford County. Now let's check in with our cold case file. On December 31st, 2007, Tyree Eugene Brown was found shot to death in a residence in the 1800 block of Grempler Way in Edgewood. Detectives continue the investigation into this crime. However, there are currently no suspects in his murder. If you have information about this crime, contact us or use our anonymous tip line. Thanks for joining us today on Behind the Badge. We have lots more to share with you about who we are, what we do, and how we keep you and your family safe here in Harford County. Make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and Instagram for more information about our agency between episodes. Until next time, for Behind the Badge, I'm Christy Hopkins.